questions of what it is you're trying to get coming out of this event. You know, 2019 could be the year that changes your life forever. That's not no cheesy, like, quote. That's real life. You know, the people that are winning at WFG, there's WFG here, there's WFG here, and then there's like the real experience of WFG. You understand that? There's not all the same experience. You know, today was payday. Not everyone got a check. Not everyone even knew today was payday. Stand up if you got a check. This is your chance to lie and look good, see? This is your chance to be like, yeah, I got a check. I ain't even licensed and I got a check. See? Look around the room. The company's paying out over $1.5 million per day in commission. $1.5 million a day in commission. How much did you get today? Are you excited to take the check home to your sweetheart and be like, hey, look what we got paid? Or some of you had jingles in your pocket. You know what I mean? So like, you could do big things this year if you commit to doing big things. But you got to know, look, there are different types of people in the company. There are people that are winning. I want you to write this down. I shouldn't even tell you any of this stuff. I should save it for my own general training on Wednesday next week. There are people that are winning, and they can explain to you why they are winning. Write that down. Anyone got a phone charger?
Yeah. Yes, got an Apple?
My phone's about to die, and I'm trying to get JR an iPhone, a winner's phone. I'm just kind of kidding. Oh, you got, all right, Danita's got me. Thank you, Danita. Hey, there are people winning, and they can tell you why they're winning. Y'all should come up here. It's kind of cool. Now, there are also people that are winning, and they cannot tell you at all why they're winning. I'll explain what I mean by this. There are people winning, and they can literally go, let me tell you all the reasons why I'm winning. Thank you so much. Give Danita a hand. She's awesome. You're the best. And then there are people that are winning, and if you said, hey, why are you winning? They ain't got no clue. You want to know the problem? If you don't know why you're winning, you're not going to win for very long. You got to know what you're good at. So my question to you is, do you know what you're good at? And do you know why you're winning? Now, on the flip side, there are people losing, and they have no clue why they're getting their butt kicked. If you said, hey, why aren't you in Hawaii this year? They couldn't tell you. And they usually resort to, well, you know, I just haven't gone all in yet. I got a lot of stuff going on. I'm the kind of person that when I do something, I either fully commit or I don't do it at all. And I just haven't fully committed yet. You know what I mean? You guys ever heard that? Some of you have said that before. Like, you know, this will be my year. Last year I wasn't, I just didn't decide. No, look, there are people losing, they have no clue why they're losing. They couldn't explain it to you. And then there are people losing, they can tell you, hey, this is why I'm losing. Now, you gotta know coming out of here, first of all, are you winning or losing? How many of you feel like you're winning? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you're like, I'm winning. I don't mean you're a winner because your mom told you. I mean you're winning. Like, you can pull up your numbers, put them on the screen, and you be proud of it. Okay. If you're winning, great. Now, we're going to be all candid and honest tonight, okay? How many of you are like, nah, dude, I'm freaking losing? Be honest. All right. Do you know why? No, that's kind of a rhetorical question. Like, really, do you know why? Could you write in 2 sentences why you're winning or why you're losing? The reason I'm telling you this is when we do Q&A, you got to know what to ask. You got to look in you and go, man, what do I need to hear to change it for me? For a lot of us, it's a mentality thing. I'll give you an example. How many of you guys could run a KTP1? Raise your hand. If I gave you a chart or a napkin or whatever you use, you could come up here right now and get a dollar commitment. Cool. How many of you guys could close? Sweet. That's a good start. How many of you could run an HI? You could come up here and recruit somebody. We can go bring you one of these casino workers and you could get a code number. Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So if you can do all those things and you're not winning, why? You ain't doing enough? So Danita said maybe we ain't doing enough. How many of you guys would agree you could probably do more? Okay. How many of you guys would agree maybe you haven't even started yet? You're like, yeah, the last time I did anything was when I signed my AMA. For some of you, that's true. And then for some of you, you gotta like figure out, if I'm gonna do Q&A with a guy who made over 100 grand last month, I gotta figure out like, what do I actually need to know? So I don't mean like, don't ask him like, hey, JR, how do you prospect? Like, didn't you learn that in Closers College? You probably learned that this afternoon. By the way, prospecting is the scariest thing for most people in the business. Agree or disagree? How many of you guys don't prospect very much? Be honest. Come on. This is, if you just lie to look cool all day, you're not going to get any results. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what you say. I built my whole business prospecting. I was doing 25 numbers a day. That's 25 yeses, which means we're getting like 75 total. And I didn't have appointments, and so I built my whole thing prospecting. In fact, my SMD, my first SMD, my exchange lady, they went out to SMD, blah blah blah, opened their own office. That all came from cold market prospecting. It was a business card actually from a car wash. Now, a lot of us are scared to prospect. This is a BBC event. This is a recruiting event. Okay, that's what tonight is. I'm telling you. Because people go, hey, can I have your script? What's your prospecting script? What do you say? It doesn't matter what you say. It really doesn't. You could go to 100 people today and go, hey, you don't happen to be looking for life insurance, do you? And if you just said that to 100 people, you'd sell 10 policies. Because someone's going to say, actually, I was just thinking about it. You understand that? You could go to 100 people, hey, do you happen to be looking to join a pyramid? And someone is going to say yes. Seriously, someone's going to say yes. And if they go, like that's my favorite thing when people go, is it a pyramid? Have you ever heard that? Yeah. This is my response, okay? I go, no. But, since we're talking about it, let me ask you something. If it was, and I could get you on top, would you be okay with it? What do you think they usually say? Yeah. So you ain't got a problem with the pyramids, you're just tired of being on the bottom. You understand? It doesn't matter what you say, since you like that, okay? How many of you are going to go use that now? You're going to be like, dude, ask me if it's a pyramid. I freaking dare you. You know, now that you got a really good answer for it, no one will ever ask you again. I promise. Like when you're broke, you're like, please don't ask me how much money I make. Please don't ask me how. And if you do ask, please don't ask me to show you. And then when you finally have cash flow, you're like, come on, ask me. I freaking dare you. And then they don't ask. This is how it goes. So, but my point is, it doesn't matter what you say. Okay, write that down. It doesn't matter what you say. The problem is you ain't saying anything. A lot of you are scared of rejection. You ain't ever got rejected because you ain't ever done it yet. You're scared of something that literally you've never experienced it. You assume everyone's going to say no. How many of you guys got prospected cold market? That's how you ended up here. Raise your hand. Look around the room. Stand up if you got prospected cold market. That's how you ended up here. I want everyone to see that this crap freaking works. Look around. By the way, these are some of the best people in the hierarchy. Stay standing. Daniel Holt from Colorado. I was told 2 years in the business at like $200,000 in cash flow. Cold market prospect. Where'd you get prospected at? So, and where were you? They just called you, or how did it happen? Church. How many of you go to church? Even if you don't, this is a good reason to start, right there. That's enough reason to go to church. Maybe that'll get you there. It's a good thing. Give him a hand, huh? Give him a hand. By the way, he did a phenomenal job at the SMD meeting yesterday. Who else? Coleman. Frank, come up here, Frank. I want everyone to see Frank. Yeah. This is arguably one of the best looking dudes in the room. Yeah. Anybody agree? Frank. He's married, by the way. Frank, come here. Good, look, Bobby. This, Frank, turn around right here. This is a real real point. I can bring Greg up here too, this is a perfect example. Look, this is what you're supposed to prospect.
Yeah.
You understand that? He was a cold market prospect at Farmer's Market, okay? Listen, all right. Let me tell you something though. I've seen some of the people you invite to BPM. I've seen the way they show up to the BPM. So many of you would not prospect him. By the way, this is how Frank dressed even before business. This is Frank at the nightclub. This is Frank at the gym. This is Frank everywhere. A lot of you guys would not have prospected him. You want to know why? You'd be like, oh no, he looks like he's got it together. Right. And then there'd be some bum-looking dude, and you would prospect that guy. This is what you're supposed to prospect. Frank was with Aflac. He came into the office to recruit me. And now here's Frank. Give Frank a hand. But seriously, that's what your team's supposed to look like. Write this down. This is real. Attractive people attract people. Attractive people attract. You know, you watch TV. It's always good-looking people. Okay, like guys, prospect up. Prospect the people. Go get someone better than you in the business. How many of you guys want a Frank on your team? Yeah. Where's Greg? Great. Stand up, bro. Look, I want you to see this dude. That's who you're supposed to prospect. I always prospect the biggest, buffest dudes in the gym. Those are guys I want to prospect. By the way, guys, anyone could do the business. Anybody. My point is that you got to start talking to people. Who else was cold market prospected? Stand up. Monroe, how long have you been in the business? 12 years. Where were you prospecting at? At a restaurant. What were you doing there? Eating. Someone just went up and prospected you.
I showed up to my interview in shorts and tank top.
He showed up to his interview in shorts and a tank top.
Beast.
And now...
Had YouTube how to tie a tie.
There you go. YouTube how to tie a tie. A lot of these people did that. And now he's fully licensed, securities licensed, 12 years in the business. Is your upline still in the business? Yeah. Smart. All right, good. Because all mine up there quit. All right, give him a hand. Elias right there. I prospected Elias at the gym.
Beast.
Yeah. No, that's probably not a surprise.
Beast.
And you want to know what Elias did 60 days ago? He did 30-30-30 his first month. 21 coded directs on the computer.
Yeah!
And you want to know? I want you to hear something. I could have walked out of the gym that day and not talked to him. That scares the crap out of me. You want to know why? Because how many times do I walk out of the gym and not talk to the right person?
True.
Freaking 21 directs. Some of you have been here 40 years, you ain't done 21 directs. And then they did another 5 inactivity transfers that he wasn't going looking for him, but it used to make him so mad because I told him we don't count inactivity transfers. So he'd be putting their social in, and he's like, oh! You know, because they're already coded. And over 30 policies, 32 policies, first 30 days. That's how you freaking do it. Kyle was a scientist before WFG. Nick, who spoke earlier, my team the only one that prospects.
Hey!
Saw my team standing. Nick was selling makeup door to door. He was Sergio and Mary Beth's part of their exchange rate, so was Kyle. Nina, teacher. Tyler, I prospected Tyler when he was 17, and then we waited until he turned 18. Sam conducted orchestras and put on concerts all over the world. I mean, guys, it's like, dude, Dimitri was a teacher, quit his job, came full-time. These are cold market prospects. How many of you guys would agree maybe you should prospect? Like, dude, my friends sucked when I got into business. So if I was trying to get anywhere with the people I knew, we weren't going to get anywhere. So you got to start prospecting. And it doesn't matter what you say. Hey, you want to go into business? Hey, you want to join a pyramid? Hey, you want to make more money? Hey, do you need friends? We got like 150 at the office. dream. I'm telling you, people want to be a part of something. How many of you guys, you got some better friends now since you started the business?
Oh, yeah.
How many of you guys, your life has gotten better somehow, even if you ain't made no money yet?
Yeah.
But you started and somehow life got better.
Yeah.
Dude, that's enough reason to go talk to someone. Like if you recruited me, that would pay you over 200 grand a year in overrides right now. If you recruited Dan, you'd be doing pretty good. You know what I mean? Life would suck really good. Like Steve, we're talking, I'm not going to go throwing people's cash flow around, but Steve is living a really good life. And he overrides Paul Ireton, Nate Ireton, Brookshire, Tita, all these people. How many of you guys would want to override that? I mean, you got to start talking to people. A lot of us, we came here, we ain't talked to nobody yet. We haven't opened our mouth. When's the last time you got a prospect? I want you to write the answer to that down.
Yes, sir.
When's the last time you went out and got a prospect? When's the last time someone rejected the freaking heck out of you? Let me ask you this. When's the last time you got a direct?
Yesterday.
Hey.
Some of you got a direct today. Stand up if you got a direct today. I heard people say today.
Yes.
Give her a freaking hand.
Hey.
How'd you get a direct today? We all want to hear.
I called him and he said, "We're ready to do this." He said, "Yeah," and I'm back.
Wow, that was hard. You see how much emotional distress she went through for that? She said, Mike called him and said, "You ready to do this?" And he said, "Okay." And then she said, "Bam." That was it.
Damn, that was a lot of effort.
What if she didn't call? That's my point. You hear that? What if they didn't call? See, some of you have you've planted these seeds, and then you get distracted, and then someone else calls and harvests your seed. You guys ever showed up to the BPM and then like one of your friends came walking in? And you're like, "What are you doing here?" And they're like, "The hell are you doing here?" And then you find out that so-and-so over here invited your friend to the meeting. How many of you guys have experienced that? Now look around. That's a lot of people. Why didn't you invite them to the meeting? See, you can't be a secret agent where like no one knows you're in business. You got to start talking to people. I want you to write down 5 people you're going to call after this meeting tonight. Even if it's a follow-up call. You want to hear what the follow-up call should go like? How many of you guys got friends you call, but they just ignore you? Raise your hand. Be honest. Come on. I want to help you. Okay, let me tell you how this goes. I call them, right? "Hey," you leave a voicemail, okay? This is what you say. "Hey, so I know you're ignoring me, but it's all good because I love you anyways. And I already know you're going to be in business with me eventually, so I'm just calling again so you know I'm still doing this. When you get around to it, call me back. I know timing's everything. I'm going to keep calling you anyways. All right, love you, bye." Click. That's how you do a voicemail. You want to hear a text? Watch this. I still don't even know who this person is. I got a text from someone. Let's see here. I gotta find it. I just want to read to you. I got 2 of them this morning. Here's one. "Good morning, Jay. I know we haven't talked in about 6 months. I hope you and your family are doing well and had a great New Year. I'm still off work from the bank, getting ready to have the baby and figuring out time and childcare, but I have a question for you. When we first talked 6 months ago about the opportunity to work with you and your company, you mentioned bankruptcy, blah, 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 blah. I don't have any, but my credit's not that great, da, da, da. Anyways, wanted to find out, since the last time we talked 3 months ago, whether or not you still have an opportunity. I know when you text me on Christmas, you said you did. What do you get right there? How many times have I been following up with her? That's 3 times we've talked already, right? She said, "But I just wanted to double check." And I said, "Yeah, no, you're good. Credit doesn't matter." And she said, "Okay, are there any trainings I should start watching online?" I said, "If you're serious about this, I'll call you tonight, get an application in with the company and put you in licensing." She said, "Sounds good. I'm ready to start. Have a good time at your event." That's follow-up. That's all it is. And She called me. You want to know what all my voicemails has been? Hey, I know you're ignoring me. But it's all good. I still love you anyways. Anyways, wanted to call you because I know timing's everything. So when you're done ignoring me and the timing's right, call me back. That's it. And then that's what I got, right? Check this out. Let me tell you another one. These are just things I want you to get, little lines that you could use. Here's another one. Oh, I had 3, I forgot. Hi, Jay. This is today, within 30 minutes from the other one. Is JR here? Yeah, where's he at? Where you at? Oh, dang, look at you. You look good, bro. The more money you make, the better looking you get. I'm telling you, for real. Hi, Jay. My boyfriend and I are interested in hearing about what you do. I already know, but I want him to meet you too. I've met with another friend that works within your same company. But if my boyfriend does it with me, I would like him to feel good about everything as well. Let me know. And then I didn't know who the heck it was, right? So I wrote back, this is a good one. Hi, if I've ever sent this to you, I apologize, okay? Hi, I'm messaging from my Apple Watch. My phone's on the table. I'm not sure who this is. It works every time. Okay? Even if you don't have an Apple Watch, it still works. She said, this is Brandy, Ronnie's friend from school. Right, so she's a psychologist. And I said, hey, you, good to hear from you. Okay, let's make it happen. I said, when do you want to meet? She said, is today a possibility? I'm trying to get him to meet with you today. I know he'll dig your energy. I said, I'm speaking at an event. I can't meet today. But I get back on Sunday. She said, sounds good. Let's do it. How much does it cost to start? Right? Let's just follow up. How long? When did I meet with her? 3 years ago. But she follows me on Instagram. There was one more, and it was good. Let me find it. And it just shows you the seeds you plant, okay? Where's this dude's number? Skip. Man, I want to find it. I know, I'm sorry. I just really want to find it because it's... Oh, here it is. Hi, Jay. When we met a while back, you told me I should get into personal finance. I've been thinking about that, and I want to find out what I have to do to start. And I don't remember ever talking to this person. But he said, you told me I should go into finance. Look, that's a line I always tell people when I meet them. I say, hey, what do you do? And it's just like a passive prospect. They're like, oh, I work in da-da-da. I say, oh, really? Okay. Are you business-minded or are you, like, employee-minded? And they're like, well, no, I guess business-minded. And I said, okay. I said, and then, like, at the end of the conversation, if it's not like a direct prospect, like I get their number, blah, 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 I just like, hey, man, if you ever do anything, remember I tell you one thing, you should go into finance.
That's right.
And so I said that to like hundreds of people. And then I get this, it was an Instagram message. And I looked back in the Instagram history. I ain't got no conversation history with this guy. So I don't know where it comes from. But anyways, I said, where are you located? He said, I'm in Long Beach. I said, okay, if you're serious, remember what I said earlier? If you're serious, we should set up a time to get together. We could get an application in and put you in licensing. And you know what he wrote back? When can we do that? It was that simple. See, my point is you overthink it. You just don't do it. You guys don't do it enough. And if you just start planting seeds, like I tell my team all the time, you know, some people go out, some of you do this, and you collect Pokemon. How many guys do that? Don't lie. Raise your hand if you play Pokemon. You're lying, I know it. It's good if you're broke and you're trying to do date night, do Pokemon. Go collect Pokemon. I go through life and collect people. So if I'm going to meet you, I'm going to get your info. If we meet at the gym, I'm getting your Instagram, or I'm getting your telephone number. If I meet you in the elevator, I'm getting your Instagram or your telephone number. If we're sitting side by side in the bathroom on the stall, I'm getting your Instagram or your telephone number. You understand that? You guys getting that? Okay, start doing that. What if you just committed to that? Just to getting, if we said hi, that means we met. I'm like, dude, I might as well get your Instagram. Everyone's going to say, hey, let me get your Instagram. And they're like, hey, nobody else follows me here. They just want someone to follow them. Guys, this thing is not that difficult. You're making it difficult. Because you're in your own way in your head. You are your own problem. No one talks more crap to you than you. No one's harder on you than you. No one talks down to you more than you. You got to fix that. You got to start going out, and you got to start going out in the world and collecting some people. If I meet you, I'm going to get your info. Write that down. Just make that your philosophy. If I meet you, I'm going to get your info. If we said hi, you know what? You look like you have a really good Instagram. Let me get your Instagram. I met this girl. I met a recruiter. I was in New York for Christmas. We ran a Tenacity Super Trip, and we took the qualifiers to Christmas in New York. And we're in New York. We're walking through Central Park. And there's this really good-looking couple. And the girl's like, got her Eskimo-looking thing on, and she's like posing by the ice skate rink. And I saw her, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna prospect these people. All the way in New York, okay? I'm like, I'm gonna get their number, I'm gonna prospect them. And so as I'm walking by, I make eye contact, I was like, hey, do you want me to take a picture for you? And she's like, oh, that would be awesome. I said, okay, under one condition. She's like, what? I said, we exchange Instagram. She's like, oh, perfect, I could do that, right? And we swapped, and then 20 seconds later, I found out she lives in Orange County. Right down the street from me. I'm like, no way. She's like, yeah, where do you live? I'm like, Laverne. She's like, oh my gosh, here, yeah, let's exchange info. That's simple. Now I got an appointment with her. She doesn't do anything except for look pretty on Instagram, and people pay her to do these promotions. That's it. She's like, I need to find something to do. I'm like, well, I can find you something to do. We're good right here. Sign here, AMA, here's your fast stuff. Got something to do. Make sense? All right, so with that being said, my buddies in the building, JR and Michelle are here. And let me just tell you real quick, because he has no clue what I want him to talk about, and I like it better that way. Okay, and I'm hoping Michelle's going to come up here too. But I'll just give you a couple of things. Number one, they're the MVP in Guillermo and Angelica's entire hierarchy. Give them a hand for that. It's a big deal because there's not like 5 people in the hierarchy, you know what I mean? Like some of you are the MVP in your office, and it's a little different. Okay, there's thousands of people in that hierarchy. And they've been in the business. They got a beautiful office out in I'll just call it Beverly Hills, West LA, so it's all the same thing to me. And it's gorgeous. Probably, hands down, the nicest office I've ever been in the company. It is beautiful. And they've got a massive team. They're about to hit $500,000 in income. That'll be easily done. They've got a lot of people on their team. That's the one thing right there that really, you forget someone's cash flow. Look, when they take a team picture, how many people are on the team? That's what matters. And they've got a big team. They got an army. I see them in Hawaii every year. They're freaking this is the thing, guys. When you start to get to the top of the company gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And they're up there and they're crushing it. So this is Guillermo and Angelica's right-hand couple. And I'm excited for them to come out because they are at their prime right now. They're crushing it right now. They're having record cash flow month after record cash flow month. They're so highly respected. I have a lot of respect for them. I admire them in their business very much. And also, they're very direct. Okay? Like I sugarcoat a lot of things. I'm just kidding. But they're very direct. They're very direct. I just spoke at an event that they had. They packed the place from wall to wall. People were sitting on the floor, like the whole 9 yards. And I'm very, very honored to have them here. And so we're going to have them do their thing. And then would you guys like to do like some Q&A with them? Maybe do some No dumb questions, okay? Like, do you like the Transamerica IUL better than the Pacific Life one? Not stuff like that. You ask the people in the hallway that one. Building questions, mentality questions, stuff like that. So let's give it up for my good friends and MVPs, JR and Silva Hill.
In just a little bit because of a big event. And so, for those of you who don't know my story, JR and I actually we were college sweethearts. We met first day of college, English 101, so 8 a.m., first quarter, first year, first opportunity we could meet, we met, right? And so he sat in the front of the class, I sat in the back, and then little by little, somehow, every few days he'd move back a seat, and a seat, and a seat, until we were sitting right next to each other. And we became great friends and obviously started our relationship, and you know, the rest is history. But when he was 19, he got recruited into the business, and so I can truly say that I've had a first row seat to his career here. But it's funny because up until about 5-6 years ago, I never thought about doing the business with him. So I don't know if you're a partner in the room here from a support standpoint, or you have a partner like that, but that was me. I was very focused on my own career. I was studying something completely different. I was studying biology, believe it or not, and went on to graduate. I got a master's in biology, and then if that wasn't enough, went to dental school for 4 more years, graduated in practice as a dentist. And so right after dental school, I was lucky, or so I thought, to get a pretty good job as a dentist. I was running a practice. My first year, I made over $250,000. And so there I was in my 20s thinking that I had the dream life, right? But then frustration started to sit in. I was working 6-7 days a week, 10 to 12-hour days. I was leaving to work when it was dark, coming home when it was dark. And so I started to get really frustrated. JR and I had just gotten married at the time. And I thought to myself, you know, career was important for me, but so was having a family. And I knew at some point I wanted to have kids, and I thought, how could this ever be? How can I balance career and home at life, right? And so I started to just get really, really frustrated. Anybody been frustrated at your job before? Okay, so you know where I'm coming from. But it wasn't, going back to big events, it wasn't until we qualified for our first Hawaii trip. And guys, this is why it's so important. If there's a contest going on, if there's a trip, if there's anything to qualify for, go for it. Because man, that first trip, and I believe it was 2013, completely changed my life. More than the vacation itself, it wasn't even about the vacation. It wasn't even about the beaches or the hotel. It was about the experience. That was truly the first time where I saw the big picture of WFG, where I could understand the lifestyle. You know, I always joke that in WFG, there's kids, they'll be 5 years old, and somehow they've been to Hawaii 6 times, right? And so that's kind of what I was experiencing, and I just thought to myself, this is what I want. And I didn't say anything to JR on that trip. I did a lot of introspection, but I came back home, and I made a decision to quit my job, 100%. And so I told JR, and obviously he was shocked. My family was shocked. You know, I got a lot of stuff for that, for wanting to leave my career. But looking back, it was the best decision that I could ever make. So just to put this in a perspective about what can happen in a short amount of time, and I know JR's going to talk about it a little bit more, but that first year that we went all in together, we doubled our cash flow, right? So anybody want to double your cash flow?
Yes.
Right? Wouldn't life be better if you could double your cash flow? Well, that's what we did. We doubled our cash flow. We hit $250,000. We qualified for the Leadership Network. We hit EMD very, very quickly. And so all these great things started to happen. And since then, you know, Jay talked about it a little bit. We were blessed to have a very good 2018. So we hit CEO, right? Finally. So it's official. Incredible. You know, WFG has completely changed our lives for the better. So looking back as to why I even left my career, you know, a big part of it was because I wanted to start a family. And since that time, we've been blessed to have a little girl. She's 3 years old, and we're looking to expand our family a little bit more. And, you know, I look back at some of my friends, right, that I went to dental school with that are now dentists. And they have a completely different lifestyle. So I just want to read you something really quick because, you know, I was on social media not too long ago, and I read this, and it really stuck out at me. So one of my good friends that I went to dental school with, before that, she had gone to Harvard for her undergrad. Okay, so brilliant girl, really sweet, graduated at the top of her class. She ended up, after graduation, marrying a physician, a medical doctor, right? And so I was on social media just browsing, and she posted an article, and the article was titled, "America, take a good hard look at what you're doing to working mothers." So I started reading it, and then she commented on the article, and she said, "Being self-employed, I have 0 maternity leave except the state DI. I think 6 weeks and only part of income. I have just tried to put money aside over the years to create my own quote-unquote maternity fund." So she was responding to somebody who had commented on her post, and I thought to myself, wow, like, how sad, right? That you work so hard in your life, in your career, you go to school, you do all the right things for what? To have to create a maternity fund, to just have a child and take some time off, right? And I think to myself, you know what my maternity fund was? You know what our maternity fund was? This business, WFG. Because that month that I gave birth, it was August 2015, the company paid us over $53,000 that month. And that's what we did. You know, it's not even the money, it's the peace of mind, right, that comes with that. You know, and I gotta be honest, we didn't work very much that month. We took a lot of time off, obviously, and it's just incredible, and that's the kind of lifestyle that this company can provide. And so I'm just so blessed, so thankful. You know, we're looking at having a great 2019. I know JR has some really great stuff that he wants to share with you, so I'm going to turn it over to him, but I just want to thank you guys. I hope you have an awesome Wealth Bowl. And so let's give it up for JR!
Very humble. She went to UCLA Dental School which is arguably the top dental program in the country. Every single year they compete with Harvard. It was a big deal for our family. And when she left dentistry, it was even more of a big deal. You can imagine the slack we were getting, right? And yet it's paid off incredibly. So it's my privilege to be here tonight. I have a lot of respect for this hierarchy, for the leaders in this team. It's crazy. My very first BPM, check out the lineup. It was Louise Hay, it was Dan Charlier, and it was Guillermo Haro. So guess what? I signed up, right? Incredible. I look across the room here and I see some of the storied hierarchies and leaders that have helped build WFG, right? And so if you guys are here tonight, you're lucky to be part of a team that knows how to win. You've got leaders here that are proven. They know how to win. And so it's my privilege tonight to share with you some nuggets, some value, my story, how I got this thing going, how I built my business. So who's up for that? Yeah? All right. So a little bit about my background. So I grew up in LA, Mid-City Los Angeles, Miracle Mile area. Anybody been around there? Yeah. Probably a whole bunch of you. So I grew up right there, come from two very hardworking parents. Both of them were entrepreneurs. My mom, to this day, has owned a preschool now for over 35 years. My dad owned a couple restaurants. So I grew up in a very hardworking, business-minded family. I kind of felt like one day I wanted to get into business myself. I ended up going to Loyola Marymount. I did the business program there. While I'm in school, turns out we have this old family friend. He's an up-and-coming broker coming up in the company. He happens to be over my mom and dad's house, a very fateful evening in my life. I'm literally visiting them from school. It's a Friday night, and straight up, I had to do some laundry. So that's why I'm visiting them from LMU. And so this guy is in our living room doing some follow-up financial planning with my parents. And I noticed that he was starting to become very successful. And he was young. He was only 35 years old at the time. And right around then, he was starting to make $35,000, $40,000 a month. And the reason why I know is because he used to carry around a notebook with all his paychecks, right? Because there was a time where WFG, there wasn't the direct deposit report. You would just get a straight up physical check. So he had a copy of all his checks. And sure enough, it was adding up $30,000, $40,000 a month. So clearly to a 19-year-old kid, I was impressed, to say the least. I was intrigued. And I'm looking for my vehicle, right? I was thinking about going to law school. I was thinking about getting an MBA, maybe going the corporate route. So I was obviously very open to something like this, right? So he invites me to the BPM the very next day at the Pomona office out there. And like I said, Louise Hay, Dan Charlier, Guillermo Haro do the BPM. The rest is history. I signed up. And so my journey in this incredible company started back then. Now, I'll tell you, I didn't really do anything with it for the first 4 or 5 years. Like some of you may be in the room. Everybody's running a different race. Would you agree? Yes. It's all about timing. And so for me, at that point in my life, I was very young. I was a full-time student. I had a competitive internship with Toyota. I was working for Toyota Corporate. And I had my own business at the time. And so WFG, though, was one of those things that out of everything I was doing in my life, this had the absolute most potential. Meaning that at some point I wasn't going to be a student. I know I didn't want to go the corporate route. The little business that I had at the time, that was just kind of more for fun. This had the most potential, so it deserved my attention. It deserved me dedicating some time to it. Maybe some of you right now need to ask yourself that question. Out of everything you're doing in your life right now, what has the most potential? My hunch would be this thing. So then why don't you give it more time? Why don't you get a little bit more committed? And that's part of what this weekend is all about. So anyway, so I get started in the business, and it was an incredible ride. The beginning, frankly, was a little bit more of me being a personal producer, as I started to learn and understand the building part of the business. But then very quickly, you know, my passions have always been coaching, teaching, mentoring, building a team, and so I started to do that. And I'm going to share with you right now how we went down that road and how we ultimately built our team. But, I struggled for many years in this thing, like many of you, trying to figure it out, trying to figure out what systems worked for me, what styles worked for me. And I had a chance meeting. I had qualified for a leadership retreat at Ed Milet's house. And this was back in 2013. And there was only about 8 or 9 of us that qualified, and we're literally sitting in his living room. This is when he lived in Chino Hills. He had a home on a golf course over there. And I don't remember anything from that meeting except this one thing. And it impacted my career like nothing else. And isn't that usually how it happens? Some of you 3-4 years from now, you won't remember anything from this meeting except for 1 or 2 nuggets that you got, that you actually moved on, you executed on, and that improved your business. And so, Milet's really big on width, right? Personal width. He talks about how 5 or 6 years in a row, he was going wide. He was the #1 direct recruiter in the company. He was getting 4, 5, 6, 7 direct recruits a month. And he's talking about this, right? And he's talking about how width equals wealth. And I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking to myself, man, how much time did it take for him to get all those directs? Because at the time, I had just hit SMD, but I had nothing really going on. No explosion on the horizon, no momentum on the horizon, struggling in the business, hadn't qualified for anything yet. And so I asked Ed, I go, Ed, you talk about width, how important it is. We're busy, we're running base shops, we're doing these appointments, we're doing BPMs, we're helping our team taproot, etc., etc. But what percentage of our time should be focused on personal direct width activities? And he kind of paused for a moment, he thought about it, and his answer changed my whole life in business. He goes, you know what, JR, that's a good question. He thought about it, he goes, 60% of your time. 60% of your time should be committed to nothing but personal direct width. You adding personal code numbers to your code number. The prospecting involved, the one-on-ones involved, the invitations involved, the following up, the fast starts, etc. So basically he goes, so if you work a 10-hour day, 6 hours out of your 10 hours should be committed to personal width. And I'm like, what? That's crazy. Because right now, it's probably less than 10% of my day. He goes, well, that's the problem. So that changed everything. That night, I went back home. Michelle's still working as a dentist at that time. And I told her about my interaction with Ed that day. And I go, look, here's the key. And it's not like I didn't hear that before. You know what's crazy? Like I didn't hear in the 5 or 6 previous years that I had been in the company that width was the key. You get what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to be at the right place at the right time where it finally freaking hits you. Would you agree? Yeah. So finally, it hit me that direct recruiting was the key to getting this thing going. And I went back and I told Michelle, look, Ed really hit it home today. He said we got to be spending 60% of our time on personal direct width. We got to change everything. So we went to Office Depot and we got a board. We got a big poster board and we wrote 60 wide in 6 months. And then we proceeded to write 60 slots on that board. And honestly, it was an ugly board. We hand wrote it. It was not pretty. And we put it smack dab in our living room. We had to stare at that freaking thing. And we said, we're going to do this thing. We're going to finally start going wide. And sure enough, we didn't do 60 wide in 6 months, but we did 71 direct recruits over the next 17 months. And we started averaging 4 or 5 direct recruits a month. And that changed absolutely everything. So yes, I am a proponent that width equals wealth. That was the start. That was the genesis of the explosion that we experienced this past year. Does that make sense, guys? So here's a big nugget. Go get a freaking poster board and write 60 slots on that thing and start filling it up over the next 12 months. I can assure you something good's going to happen, right? You got to change your mindset. You got to change everything around personal direct width. Everything will happen. You know, there's a guy in Primerica. His name is Hector Lamarck. He's one of the biggest earners in Primerica. And they asked him one day, Hector's approaching almost $100 million that Primerica has paid him. They asked him one day, Hector, how did you build a hierarchy? You know what his answer was? All I did was go wide. I personally field trained those directs. I taught them how to close. The rest just happened. Does that make sense? The rest just happened. And if I think about this year and the explosion we've had, that's literally what went down. All I did was go wide, personally field trained those directs. I taught them how to close. I was a good personal example, and the rest just happened. Isn't it funny how it works out that way? So let's talk a little bit about why you should be going wide. What comes with going wide? So I think you need to become a triple threat in WFG. A triple threat that if you do these three things, the business will happen with absolute certainty. So number one, obviously, you need to become a recruiter. So why go wide? Let's take a look at some of these points right here. So number one, you need new markets to work with, don't you? Yes. New markets to work with. Who's struggling for appointments right now? You notice that when you don't have new directs, the pipeline dries up, right? So going wide gives you the privilege of working in somebody's warm and hot market. That's the beauty of our system, is that I could personally direct recruit a Jay Gautier. I could build trust. I could build rapport. And the blessing of this system is that now I can work within his warm and hot market and generate appointments, generate production, generate new recruits, right? And the process starts all over. So going wide gets you new appointments, new markets, right? What else here? Next thing. When are you going to create your next wave of leaders or your first wave of leaders? If I think back to those 71 direct recruits that we got between 2013 and 2014, many people that went on to become ring earners or senior marketing directors, they were gotten in that wave. Does that make sense? Yeah. Even myself, I was recruited in a wave of Guillermo going wide and getting big base shop recruiting. Not only myself, but some of my counterparts as well. So when you go wide in bunches like that, when you sprint wide, the likelihood of you netting good people increases dramatically. What do you think is going to work out better? 100 recruits in 3 or 4 months or 100 recruits over 5 years? Which one would you rather have? The first one, right? That's what I'm getting at, ladies and gentlemen. Next point here. How about moral authority? Who needs a little bit moral authority in their life? You think your team will listen to you? You have some moral authority? You know why this talk is better about WIC? Because I've done it. That's why it's better. Right? But you can't go tell your teammates to go get 4 or 5 wide when you've never done it. And then here's the other thing. Don't just do it once. Because anybody can go get 4 or 5 wide in 1 month or 2 months. The name of the game is, can you do it for the next 12 months, 18 months, 2 years, if not more, right? And you get moral authority, and now your teammates start listening, right? Moral authority is a special thing. Your talks are better. Your trainings are better. Your leadership's better when you have moral authority. Go get yourself some moral authority. And it starts with going wide. Is that a deal? Yes. Next one here. How about creating tons of override income? Who's up for that? I don't know about you, but the dream I bought was financial independence through overriding production of agents that I would have recruited, right? Michelle tells that story about how the company paid us over $53,000 the month our daughter was born. I can assure you it wasn't because I was on a ton of appointments that month. I was with my newborn baby girl, where I should be, right? Yeah. But because I built a team, and I taught them how to close, and created a hot environment, I was blessed to override the production, and I could spend that time with my family when they needed me the most. WFG delivered. Everything that we talk about from stage, it delivered for me, right? But it's because I went wide. It's because I built a team. And so now the overrides are coming in. I spent the whole day out here. I didn't have to run appointments today. We live in West LA. Getting out here was a little bit of a trek. I didn't have to worry about running appointments, and yet my direct deposit today was just under $8,000. Pretty fired up, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. What else here? Oh, this is a good one right here. Internal consumption. People underestimate. I go around offices all over the country. People underestimate the power of internal consumption. Do you realize you don't even need to go see people in their homes if you just ran a legit internal consumption machine? So when you go wide, one of the great gifts of going wide is people just signing up and you're their agent. And they're knocking on your door because they want to hit 330, or they want to do their 1-in-1, or they want to qualify for the contest. And you have this revolving door of people just getting IULs, rolling over money, getting financial planning through you because you recruited them. So just on internal consumption, when you're going wide, you should be writing 12,000 to 15,000 personal points a month. One direct recruit, on average, minimum should be 3,000 points. Well, do the math. If you're getting 4 a month, that's 12 to 15,000 points a month. You're at an SMD contract. You're making 10, 12 grand with your own pen. Teach 5 people how to do that. Now you're making 20, 25. That's how you build it. Stop making life so difficult. Get internal consumption working in your favor. Is that a deal? Yes. So we start to wrap up the recruiting portion here. Here's an important one. Singular leadership versus overlapping leadership. Here's what I mean by that. You have to believe at some point that you're the best person on your team. Would you agree? Yeah. That you're the #1 closer, the #1 recruiter, that you could lead people the best. You got to believe that. So then why are you recruiting people? See, if I recruit somebody direct, I believe they're blessed to have my direct mentorship. However, I know this for a fact. If I recruit someone, who then recruits someone, who then recruits someone, who then recruits someone, I know for a fact, as much as we talk about treat everybody like a direct, it just isn't going to go down that way. That 3rd or 4th person that's away from you, they're not going to get as much constant communication from you as the leader. And so one of the great gifts of going wide is you get that direct leadership. Which, if you're saying what you just said, that you're the best, why would you not be flexing that like crazy, right? Because all of a sudden, here's what I mean. You'll recruit somebody, and then you taproot them, but then you say, you know what? There's 2, 3, 4 people in between me and them. Maybe they don't need that late night direct text message because so-and-so is going to do it. But when you recruit somebody direct, there's no one in between, right? You're like, shoot, they need that late night text message from me, right? That's what I'm talking about. That's singular leadership versus overlapping. When you're going wide and you get 40, 50, 60 in a year, talk about how that makes you flex your leadership skills even more directly, right? And so much better results come that way. Last one here. People talk about, should I go wide? People talk about, should I go deep? Obviously, you want both, right? You want both. You can't go deep unless you go what? Wide. But here's what I know for a fact. When you go wide as a leader, your personal example creates natural depth. Does that make sense? Because your people will start to copy you. So I've got people on my team. If you run the Leaders Bulletin right now on personal direct recruiting, I got multiple people that can go get 4, 5, 6, 7 in a month, right? I got a guy on my team named Phil Mazzella, one of the top direct recruiters in the company. But it's because he saw me do it. So because he saw me do it, he believes he can do it, right? They always say your team will do about half of what you can do. So until you go get 5, 6, 7, 8 directs in a month, no one on your team is going to be able to do 2 or 3 or 4. It's almost like they don't believe they could do it. Same thing with production. You want somebody to start cracking out 25, 30,000 personal points a month? You go have a month where you do 45, 50, 60,000 personal points. Now the person on your team believes they can write 15 or 20, right? So that's important. That starts to happen. And then that's how your organization starts to taproot naturally, and you create this depth, right? It starts with your personal example. So you want to become a triple threat in WFG? What's the first threat? Recruiting, right? And go wide. Width equals well. Check out these stats right here. Next slide. So this was that month when I started to go wide. We had that meeting at Ed Milet's house. It was in literally February of 2013, and then that was the start of everything. We started getting 4, 5, 6 a month. It wasn't perfect every month, but over 17 months of a complete focus on WID from March 2013 to July 2014 resulted in 71 direct recruits, including maps and transfers. That's 4 a month. And here's the net of it. EMD promotion. So I went from a nothing SMD to EMD, $250,000 earner. We qualified for the Leadership Network, which I don't think they do it anymore, but that's when they would take you out to the New York Stock Exchange. They put you up at the Waldorf Astoria. Incredible, one of my favorite trips. Stretched my vision. Walking the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. 4 ring earners, 10 senior marketing directors. Can you believe that? I can assure you, if I don't go get 71, a lot of that doesn't happen. Would you agree? Yeah. But because I went and got 71, guess what? Good stuff happens. The problem was this though, then I stopped. I cooled it. Like many of you right now, you've cooled it. Maybe you have momentum. You've cooled it a little bit. Or you start getting some results in the business, and then you chill out a little bit. That was me. I prematurely big-timed it. I'll admit it to you, right? I'm not going to sit up here and talk about how I've got a perfect business. Nobody does. I prematurely big-timed it. I stopped going wide. It wasn't enough. See, when I messed up from my Let's message, he said he did it for 5 or 6 years in a row, not a year and a half, right? So then my business kind of plateaued. Some of those ring earners quit. Some adversity hit. Guess what? What do you do in that moment? You get back to work. The only thing that works with absolute certainty in this thing, personal direct WID. So check out the next slide. So then we got back to work. July 2016, we started going wide again. 129 directs in the last 27 months in business. What did that do to my business? Absolutely propelled it up again. CEO promotion. Check this out. We promoted 2 $250,000 earners in the last 2 months. 4 new $100,000 earners. And we'll be crossing over to $500,000 in income literally in the next, I would say, 4 or 5 weeks. Pretty awesome, right? What would 45, 50, 60 grand a month do for you in your life right now? What would that do for you right now? I can imagine it would only help, wouldn't it? Yeah. Pay off some credit card debt, drive a nicer car. Maybe for once your wife will be proud of you. I don't know, right? So it could only help, right? We'll go wide. And don't just go wide for a few months. It's been years now that we've been going wide, and it's our focus, and it permeates through our organization. It's part of my personal brand is going wide. I suggest you make personal direct recruiting part of your personal brand. When they think of your name, they should be, man, he's a big-time direct recruiter. That's one of the biggest attributes about them. She's a big-time direct recruiter. They should be thinking about that. Yes? Yes. All right. Moving on. Triple threat in WMG. Number 2. So what? You could recruit. You got to be able to convert those recruits into production, don't you? Yes. So let's talk about producing. I'm so big on know your craft. I'm so big on don't just be a recruiter and then not know what you're doing across the kitchen table. It's part of my culture. You better know IUL inside out, the financial planning side of the business inside out. Right? You should know how to roll over money. The baby boomers are retiring. Check out what's going on in the market right now. At one point, last week and a half, market was down almost 10%. Year to date, if you had $1 million portfolio, you lost literally $100,000 plus, right? That's a big deal for people. And that's literally if you just bought and held. Most people, they're in there buying and selling, they're locking in losses. They're getting in at the wrong time, getting out at the wrong time. Most people lost more than 10%. And yet we've got these incredible products that provide safety, upside earning potential. Tax benefits. Know them inside and out. You should be rolling over money. You should be rolling over $1 million every single year at a minimum. What's $1 million in a year? Literally $21,000 a week. You can't go get 21 grand a week. So much low-bearing fruit out there. You know how many people have IRAs? They've got 10, 20 grand just sitting there. Those count too. They add up. Go get that business. Rolling over money is a big part of my business because I talk about it. I teach people how to close that type of money. They shouldn't be intimidated by large amounts of money. We can help people with that. And another big part of our business, 1035 exchanges. See, when you do a lot of annuity business and you do a lot of 1035 business, persistency improves. Because that business, for the most part, if you do it right, does not charge back. So add that to your business if that's not part of it right now. I'd say indexed annuities right now, or just annuities in general, account for about 35% of my block of business. I can assure you that's helped. Because they don't charge back. We hit CEO with an 85% persistency. It's because a big chunk of our business comes from annuities and 1035 exchanges. I've taught my agents how to identify opportunities when they meet with clients who have old life insurance policies and making sure that they've got the latest and greatest. Use that type of language. Let's get together. Let's just make sure you've got the latest and greatest. Worst case scenario, you know a little bit more about what your friend here is doing. But best case, we can help you out. And you start capturing 1035 exchange business. What else here? Another part of our culture, this production culture with the recruiting, field underwriting, very important. What do I mean by that? You should be asking the tough questions. Like if you were an underwriter, don't just write a policy up. Ask the tough questions. Do some field underwriting. Such a big part of our production culture, which helps with our persistency. You know, ask if they've had a DUI. Ask if they've been arrested. Ask if is there any reason why you wouldn't qualify for life insurance whatsoever. Because it's going to come out. Don't be afraid to ask the tough field underwriting questions so that you don't take chances, right? Trial application, all that good stuff. That should become part of your culture. You want to build a big-time business here that's sustainable? You would do that right there. Lastly, create a culture. Last point here, create a culture where not only do you have a volume of the smaller cases all day long, right? $50 terms, $30 terms, $100 a month IULs. You're a new agent who's a little bit financially unstable, but they want to get their internal consumption going, get them going with $100, $200 a month. Great! But then you as a leader should be stretching yourself to eventually write bigger cases, right? You should be able to write a case that's 24,000 points. Somebody's socking away $2,000 a month in an IUL. You should be able to go write a $500,000 rollover. You know what that does for your team? It lets them believe they can do it. Doesn't it? But you got to do it first. So we have a mix of big cases, small cases, volume, right? When I started writing some big cases, people thought, oh, he's the big case guy. No, it's just that I've worked on myself to the point where I can get in those types of market. Why not? It's the same presentation. Does that make sense? So if I can get into some good markets and write some bigger targets, bigger rollovers, why not? Why not? Right? So make sure that becomes part of it. I think that's important. You should be stretching yourself to get to that point. Grow your identity to get to the point where you can capture those larger cases. Last here, triple threat in WFG. Because I've seen people that are great recruiters. I've seen people that are great closers. And they still won't make it here long term because they don't have this one. Number 3, leadership. Leadership is everything in this business. Would you agree?
Yes.
How many people they can close, but they can't lead? They can recruit. They can't lead those recruits. You got to work on your leadership game. Every book you read should be about leadership, especially if you're not the best in that area right now. Find some leaders that you relate to. Study them. Study their mannerisms. Study their personalities, how they use their words. And start getting some good examples in your life of people you can kind of copy and emulate, and then mix it in with your own style. But man, you got to become a great leader here. Leaders win in this business at the end of the day, right? Because I know a leader, somebody who's a leader will recruit a great recruiter. Somebody who's a leader will recruit a great producer and know how to lead them. So leadership is absolutely everything. What's your personal brand? How many times have you heard Rich Tholley, Monty Holmes, some of the great leaders in our company talk about your personal brand? When they think of you, what do they think of? What are the first words that come to mind? You want words like, he's a great father, she's a great wife, she's a great leader, business person, they're honorable, they have integrity. You want those types of words to come to mind, don't you?
Yes.
You got to work on that. That's part of your leadership. That's part of your culture. So years ago, like I said, I used to work for Toyota. Toyota's a global Fortune 10 company. And I got this internship when I was in college through a program called the Inroads Program. This program changed my life. Places talented minority youth with Fortune 500 companies for paid summer internships. So I got connected with this program when I was 17 years old. And I got an internship with Toyota. I was working at Toyota Motor in Torrance at their corporate headquarters, and I had a legit internship, and I learned a lot. And the reason why I'm saying this is because my first experience in business at that age was being exposed to the Toyota culture. The Toyota culture stands on two principles. They built their whole business on this. Okay? Again, global 10 company, they probably know what they're doing, right? Number one, respect for people. It all starts with respect for people. You don't respect somebody, they're not going to show you respect. How can you build a business? You can't. You're building a business on quicksand. So call me crazy, but I respect my teammates. I treat them like business partners. That's the language I use. If you were to come to my office, I don't introduce this individual who's on my team as my downline. We don't use that language. I don't even use teammate. They are my business partner. What are they thinking right there? He sees me as an equal. He respects me, right? I could build a business long term with him or her. That's the importance of respect for people and treating your teammates with dignity, right? Number two principle Toyota stands on, continuous improvement. The idea that anything can be looked at with a new pair of eyes and done more efficiently, faster, better customer service, and just being always down to improve, right? I brought those two principles to my culture. When I joined WFG years ago, I brought those two things to the way I was going to build my team, and it's worked for me, okay? It's worked for me. You know what's crazy, though? How can you even argue with that? How could you say, no, you know what, those two things, I don't know. You can't! Those two things work for me, but I see leaders all over the company messing those two things up. Left and right, I don't want to build a business like that. That's one of the keys to our success. Respect for people, continuous improvement. Obviously, your work ethic. You got to straight up outwork the competition. You know how hard it is to recruit 71 directs? You know how many hiring interviews? You want to know the number?
Yes.
Over 4,500. Over 4,500 one-on-ones I've done in my career since 2013. Arguably, I've done the most one-on-ones out of anyone in this entire company. I could stand here, look you straight in the eye and say, find me somebody that's done more one-on-ones, more conversations about the opportunity one-on-one. You would be hard-pressed. Lots of hard work, lots of commitment, meeting after meeting after meeting, people showing up to my office to see me about an opportunity here. Most aren't interested, we already know that, but 71 weren't. Out of the 71, not all of those stuck. You got to run the numbers, right? It takes work, commitment, discipline. The freaking success formula is so basic and known, it's boring, isn't it? That's why not everybody makes it. I had a phone call with one of my new associates So out of 10 people, how many make it? I go, let's be straight up with you. 1 out of 10, probably. Right? And that's 1 out of 10 get licensed and show up to meetings and go to your Christmas party. Who actually makes it? Maybe 1 out of 100. Who actually makes it, right? Like, who actually makes money here? Gets you $100,000 a year in income? Maybe 1 out of 100. I'm just being frank with you. But I go, let me ask you a question. Why don't most people make it in life? Why aren't most people making $100,000 a year? Can you answer me that? She goes, oh, I know what you're talking about. No, I don't think you do. Most people quit this thing because they realize after their first meeting, after their fast start, oh my goodness, this takes work. This takes getting out of a comfort zone. I'm going to have to make some calls. I'm going to have to get rejected, right? This is going to take discipline, coachability, mental toughness, and most people just straight up are not wired for that. So don't take offense that most quit. Most people don't make it in life. You're not going to build your business with most people. You're looking for the 10%ers. And of the 10%, only 2 or 3% are your heavy hitters, right? You're never going to find those 2 or 3 if you don't run the numbers and you don't flat out start working this thing. And lastly, you could have all that. Man, I've seen people in the business. They're great recruiters, great producers. They got leadership skills. They're dynamic speakers. And they still won't make it. Because they don't have this one right here. Mental toughness. That's the one that's going to get you in the long run. I've seen it time and time again. People they built a business, but can you deal with life's curveballs? Can you deal with the sick child? Can you deal with aging parents? Can you deal with relationship issues and still win in business and still remain profitable? That's the true test. Because if there's one thing we know for a fact, ladies and gentlemen, is that over the next year, 2 years, 3 years, and knock on wood, but life might send you some curveballs, yes or no?
Yes.
You're going to win here based on the way you deal with those curveballs. Because here's what I know, the most successful people in the world, not just in this business, but in the world, they've got life's curveballs too, but they found a way to win anyway. Because they had mental toughness, and they had a strong support system, and they worked on their mind. So you can have all that stuff, but if you don't have mental toughness, you will lose here long term. That's how important that one is. That's how important 177 mental toughness secrets of the world classes. That's how important it is to get around the leaders. You know, when we have these retreats, and people get around the bonfire, and they get around, the cigar session, whatever. It's because they just want you to get close to the leaders so that you understand how they think, right? That's why it's so key to stay close to the fire in 2019. You should be fighting to get around the leadership, right? And if you had those 3 things, if you had the recruiting down, if you had the production down, the leadership game, which part of that is mental toughness, I can assure you if you back it up with work and you execute, you will win big here. And I don't know that you're going to win in the next 12 months here. I don't know that you're going to win in the next 24 months. But I know for a fact if you keep working this thing and you keep working better, and you keep getting better in those areas, you will win here long term, right? And I know you win. I know you will because I know we've started to win here. Because we just flat out didn't quit and we just kept getting better in those areas. Is that a deal? Yes. So with that being said, as we wrap up here, just I want to share with you guys some pictures here. That's the start of us building the team. That was Wealthball, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. Just starting to get it going. Next, you could just keep hitting them here. Been to Europe many times. That's us in Paris a summer ago. Check out that picture right there. Our grandkids are going to be talking about that picture. Are you kidding me? That's in the Mediterranean somewhere. They're going to be like, man, our grandparents were rock stars. Right? Awesome. That's our beautiful baby girl. Hopefully this year we can have an addition. Next slide. How awesome would it be to win in front of your kids? Some of my favorite moments that this business has been able to give me is when my daughter's watching me speak to thousands of people. Or even when she just comes to the office and she's seeing her dad, her papa, influence the lives of all these adults. And the way she's starting to see her father and what that's doing for her is one of the greatest gifts this business has given me. So as we wrap up here, and I know we're going to do a Q&A in a bit. Good stuff? Yeah. As we wrap up, here's what I want to leave you with. I say this to my team all the time. There's a million ways to make $1 million, yes? Yes. There's so many ways you can make money. There's no doubt. This is not the only way you can make big money. However, this way, this opportunity came across your lap. And so out of those 4,500 meetings that I did one-on-one, and I had conversations with people about limiting success factors and why they're not making it in life financially. Not as a husband, not as a father, not in faith, not in fitness. I'm talking about straight up money. There's two predominant things I got from those 4,500 meetings. You want to know what they are? Yeah. 2 reasons why people are not where they want to be. The number one reason, they straight up have been doing the wrong thing for the last 10 or 15 years. They're not in the right vehicle. So number one, you need the right vehicle. You need a vehicle that has unlimited earning potential that's not based off luck or talent. That's what this is, isn't it? Would you guys agree? This vehicle has unlimited earning potential that's not based off luck, and it's not based off chance, and it's not based off innate talent like you would need to make the NBA. Would you agree? Yep. You can learn all this stuff, right? Yes. Real estate has that too. Mortgages has that too. Property and casualty. There's lots of ways you can make money. But here's the other thing. The number 2 reason why people don't make money, or they're not where they want to be financially, they don't have a mentor that has moral authority, that's made big money in that vehicle that they chose, literally coaching them on how to do it as well. Meaning, if you want to make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a month, and you have somebody that makes that, that's willing to teach you, do you realize how special that is? Those types of people aren't exactly falling out of the sky. Would you agree? And yet you guys have that here. In this room, there's multiple people. Whether it's Christopher Schleiman, Jay Jr., Dan Charlier, Louise Hay, Steve Hay, right? The leaders go on. God, I can't name everybody. I'm like, I'm going to name everybody, and I know I'm going to forget. Nikki Cannon, right? You guys got great leaders here. They make big money. They can teach you how to make big money. Shoot, if they're making 40, 50, they can sure as heck teach you how to make 5 part-time, right? You have a vehicle. You have the mentors. It's up to you to execute. Frankly, we work. Okay? This works. The question is, are you going to work it? Right? See you guys at the top.
Hey, did I tell you it was going to be awesome or what? All right, come up here, Michelle. Come up here, Pierre. Hey, let's do a whoosh real quick. Ready? Whoa! Hey, so, was that good? Let me tell you something, and this is a very high compliment to both of you. I used to always go, because I'd go speak in someone's office, and I'd go, man, I know I freaking killed it. And then I'm like, I just wish someone would come to my team and kill it the same way. And those of you who are in leadership, you know what I'm talking about. You're like, dude, I know I killed it. I just wish someone would kill it for me like that. And I can tell you when someone comes and they give their best, or when someone comes and they just read you memes for 40 minutes. You understand what I'm talking about? There's a very big difference. And they brought their best. They literally just talk to you how they would talk to their own team. And not everyone does that, so give them a big hand. That was good stuff. They didn't just come up here and screenshot 40 memes off Instagram and I'm going to read this to them for the next 40 minutes. Like, that's stuff that makes you money. That's stuff that makes you a lot of money. And so, that was freaking awesome. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do some Q&A. And the reason why I want to do this is because of the fact that a lot of us, we're all in a different place in the business. No one's in the same spot. Like some of you guys, he's talking about recruiting and you're like, all right, I got that down, but I can't figure out how to get them from the AMA to points. Others of you are like, man, I never had a recruit in my career. Some of you are like, yeah, man, my net point ratio is great. And others of you, your net point ratio is really bad. And so we're on a different spot. And like I talked about before they got here, we all have something that we need. And some of us know what it is, and some of us still aren't sure yet what you need to get out of this event. But you need something. Because if you just go through this year the same way you did last year, if it wasn't a good year for you, you're not going to have a good year this year. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
So, first of all, if you've gotten what you really feel like you needed so far today, since today's day one, raise your hand if you found, you said, man, I got what I needed. Nice. How many of you guys got some of it right now when they spoke? Look at that. Give them a hand for that. That's awesome. So, with that being said, I want to do Q&A so you can get exactly what you need. But there's a lot of people in the room, so it's really dangerous to do Q&A. So, can we all just respect each other by not just being stupid for the next few minutes? Now, let me tell you what I mean by that. That doesn't mean don't ask your question out of fear that it might be stupid. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, let's ask a question, let's let them answer, and then let's not all put in our own input. Because, I mean, quite frankly, there's a reason they're up here and you're not. So, let's get their answer, you know, and then let's move on to the next question. Fair?
Yes.
All right. We already got hands. Go ahead, man. Stand on up, but you got to yell it. Or at least loud enough for me to repeat it. Hey, hold on, Roxanne. No, Danita, you two make too much money for this job. Come here, Tyler. Tyler volunteers. By the way, in my 2013 picture of my team, he's the only one who's still here.
Aww.
Go ahead, yeah. So your name's Roxanne.
My name's Roxanne Perez. I work at the Miracle Mile office in Durlea County, and Stephen Brenner. But I've only been here about a month, and I've had a really slow start for personal reasons. When you talk about mental toughness, that really hit home because that's my weakness. Is I just died, financial hardship. I just got diagnosed with cancer. I mean, a lot of mental and emotional hardship. How do you put that aside? I mean, like big things, how do you put that aside and then go
Some of y'all got teammates that didn't come here because they stubbed their toe, you know? So, I'm telling you, man, there's someone in, that's rough. That's a real problems. Those are real problems, and to push through that is awesome. And yes, first month. Let's just make your story better, Roxanne.
I'm Jay Strait, so Jay is my hierarchy for Missouri. So not having an immediate office to go to and leadership, like you're fantastic as far as accessibility. I can talk to those available and I can feedback when I need it. But how do you keep up with the training? Because you mentioned personally training, and I know Jay knows one of the first things I said was, I want to train every single person I'm recruited. How do you keep up with training when you're expanding your width in a large way at one time?
Okay, and specifically on state.
Yes.
Okay, good question, because we've done this. So I had an office in Seattle, Tacoma area, and it started with a direct recruit that, similar to yourself, saw the vision, they're a leader, and they want to get this thing going. And so when I saw their commitment level, I said to myself, okay, I want to expand, I have to match their commitment level, and if they're willing to meet me halfway, then I'm willing to meet them. So, it becomes a lot of webinars, a lot of GoToMeetings. I personally field trained this individual on at least 20, 25 GoToMeeting webinar type of meetings that we had, and I trained her that way. And I flew up a couple times, he flew down a couple times, and he met me halfway. And now we have an office up there. That office does 20, 25,000 points a month. He's recruiting a team. He's got 15, 16 people showing up, and it's literally my base shop. Most of my base shop is coming from that office right now, and yet they're so far away from me. And sometimes your best people end up being the ones further away because they become so resourceful. And so you should see it as a great gift that, even though Jay and Ronnie are far from you, you can become so resourceful, use all the stuff that they have in place and run with it, and it gets you more mentally tough, and you're able to deal with stuff that literally people in their office would not be able to deal with, but because you're out there on your own, taking arrows and really committed, you become a better, more dynamic leader in the long run, is what I have found.
Good stuff. How many of you guys have the same type of situation? Out of state, or you got teammates out of state? Very cool. All right, who's next? Right here. The man. You need the mic?
Okay. What's the top field training tip that you learned kind of along the journey that was like the biggest booster to your business?
Yeah, well,
His question real quick was, what's the top field training tip that you've learned through your career as far as training your
I'll
team?
give you 2 tips. I'll give you a tip from a training associate standpoint, and I'll give you a tip from a trainer's standpoint. So number one, if I'm a training associate, the number one tip I can give you is stay in your warm and hot market. Stay in your warm and hot market, because in your warm and hot market, there's trust, hopefully. By the way, none of this works if you don't have credibility in your warm and hot market. Okay? So the business something that changed my whole career was I started vetting, for the most part, all of my KTPs. Meaning that there was a point in my career where I would just show up. Somebody set up a meeting, I would just show up. And then what I found was I was wasting a whole bunch of time on the wrong appointments. So then what I started doing is literally making an introduction phone call to the appointment, the day of or the day before. So let's say we have an appointment on Thursday night, it's a KTP in Gardena, and I'm literally going to get in my car and drive down there. The old me would have just showed up. The me from 4 years ago when I started vetting every single one of my appointments, I was doing an introduction call, and I called the client up and I said, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Klein, my name is Jeremy. Yeah, I understand that we have an appointment tomorrow. I wanted to personally call and introduce myself, let you know I'm looking forward to meeting with you and sharing with you some financial concepts and really just going from there. But I wanted to kind of get an idea of what did you expect to get from the appointment? How was the appointment set up? And if it was set up in a way where it was really just do me a favor, you can watch TV in the background when this guy shows up, I now know I need to actually do some work there and reframe it, make sure that we're not wasting our time, et cetera, set it up the right way so that when I get to the appointment, we're more on the same page. So when I started doing that, everything changed. Stopped wasting my time on a bunch of appointments I otherwise would have showed up to. And then it's almost warm now. Oh, we spoke yesterday, nice to meet you in person. And I actually now, based on that introduction call, I kind of know if I'm walking into a close or not, which helps me from a trainer standpoint. Those would be my two tips.
Is that good or what? He could have kept that one in his pocket. He didn't have to tell you that. That's why I love them. That's a good question. That right there will save you how many years of experience? 6 or 7 years of experience right there. That was worth your whole Wealth Bowl ticket. We'd all go home right now. All right. By the way, if you're in the back and you have questions, I want to answer your questions too. I know someone in the back is going to be a millionaire in a couple of years. You can tell a story that they tell, I was all the way in the back, all the way at the top, by myself, crying, slept in my car. I'll come back to you, Frank. He's standing up and he's hungry. What you got, man? You need a mic? You need some food? There you go. You're about to eat.
Okay, so I'm at the Riverside office. Riverside. My name is Chad Thomas, and I fairly started the business a little slow, which I'm not going to be slow anymore. I'm at
big events. Michelle and my mom are the two most influential people in my life. And I would always take them to the big events. So even though they weren't doing the business, they understood the potential of the business. And so when I had a weak moment where I was going to quit, they literally cornered me like, no, you're not. You've already been in this thing for a year and a half. You got your licenses. You put in the time. You know it works. And they were strong when I was weak. That's a form of keeping yourself grounded. You got to have a good support system.
Whoosh. Look at my hand, huh? Yeah, I want to piggyback. I know there are a lot of questions and I'll get to this, but I want to piggyback on that because one of the most powerful things for me is what he's talking about, which is having a support system. You know, when I started the business, Ronnie didn't start the business with me. It was a year and a half. She was a psychologist. She was working as a psychologist before she came in. I know Michelle didn't start the business right away full time. She was working as a dentist, which is some people's dream careers, right? So my question for you is I don't really like the term supportive spouse, and I know you don't like it either because we've had this conversation over dinner. And I believe there are different kinds of spouses. There are significant others, there are insignificant others, and there are like supportive spouses. But I like an involved spouse, even if you're part-time. You know, I believe if you're someone's spouse, like you think you're going to get a sticker because you're supportive. That's what you freaking signed up for. You know, whether you like it or not, that's what you signed up for. I know people that go, man, I'm not winning because my spouse is just giving me so much crap. Or people that go, yeah, my spouse isn't winning. I'm like, dude, you're the freaking part of the reason they're not winning. You know, so walk us through. How many of you guys want a supportive spouse versus how many of you guys want an involved spouse? Like, you could be involved and not have a license. You know what I mean? Ronnie always supported me from the very beginning, even when she was in the business. But walk us through, Michelle, that, by the way, it could be a husband who's the part-time. Doesn't matter who it is. But walk us through the transition, because I think it's hard for a lot of people that they show up to me and they go, yeah, I want to support you, but I have no clue what that means. Or like, I don't even know what that looks like. But I like to teach people how to be involved, not just supportive. You know, supportive should come by default. So, what's that look like in the beginning?
Well, I mean, I think the great thing about this business is that there's all levels of involvement, right? And sometimes your roles change as you grow a family and all kinds of things. And that's the great thing about the business is that it can be flexible. You know, we have spouses and partners in our business that work from home. They're part-time. They maybe make the calls. Maybe they're full-time. You know, for me personally, I don't like the term supportive partner. I like power partner better. Because when I came into the business, and see, for me, career is very important, right? Just for me as a woman, I like working, and so when I was going to come into this, I wanted to be able to do everything that he could do, right? So I quickly had to learn, you know, how to run a hiring interview, how to do a follow-up, how to fast start somebody. I close out every single BPM, so I do a lot of the recruiting just along with him, closing business, you know, running the office. We run a pretty large operation, so taking care of all of that. So for me, that was important, but you know, the great thing is that it can be whatever you want it to be. You know, you really have to analyze your business and look at your strengths and your weaknesses and where the help is the most needed, and pick up the slack. And so for me, it's, you know, it's both of our businesses. It's not just his, it's ours. So I might as well be involved too. You know, sometimes I give the analogy because a lot of the times we see partners and they're kind of on the outside and it's like, man, if they just got involved, their business would completely change. And I always use the analogy like, imagine you're walking down a dark alley and you see your husband or wife getting beat up. Would you jump in to try to help them? You would, right? Well, every single day, your spouse comes home getting beat up in this business because it's not easy, right? The rejection, people saying no, people quitting, the chargebacks. And it's like, you gotta jump in the game too, right? If you really want to build this business together, get in the game somehow, just get a little bit more involved. I don't know what that means for you. I think step one is to kind of come to meetings. If you're not coming to PPM, start there.
JR, in having a spouse that was kind of like involved, but like not yet part-time, like you just started, what kind of conversations were you having when you went home every day with her before she was involved?
So, obviously couples, they talk about their day. So I'll talk about her, I'll talk to her about the good parts of the day, the bad parts of the day. Michelle is someone who's always been, my confidant, someone that I value her opinion, I value her advice. And even though she wasn't doing WFG, I could tell her a scenario and she would give her advice on it. It's really important. And so you have to have open communication in life, and if you talk about just succeeding as a couple, just people start asking you about, how do you have a good relationship and how do you have a successful marriage, just like a successful business, you have to have open dialogue, open communication on a daily, and so that was always so important to us.
Yeah, and hey guys, one thing I'll tell you too, sometimes people come in the office, and I know for sure you'll be able to relate to this, and they go, I'm just so pissed off at my freaking dad, or my mom, or my spouse, or my girlfriend, or my friend that doesn't support me, and they're so mad about it. How many of you guys can relate to that? You're either the pissed off one, or you're the one getting told. And I tell them, I go, well, did you tell them everything you just told me? And they go, well, no. I said, well, why not? Well, I don't like it. I don't know. And hey, sometimes, guys, people don't take you seriously because you don't take it seriously. And sometimes you got to sit down with whoever it is, whether it's your friend, whether it's your best friend. Some of you got a best friend that doesn't support you in business. It's not that they're unsupportive, but you try to get an appointment and they don't give you one. They're too busy. You tell them you want them to come to the meeting and they don't come. And then you're so mad about it, but everything you say in your head, you never tell them. And so to them, it ain't that serious. And so sometimes you guys sit down and go, hey, you're my freaking friend. So whether you like it or not, this is what you signed up for. You need to come at least once so I can get my dang training done. And if you, and at least so I can scratch you off the list, and we'll never talk about it again if you don't want. But you're my friend, and this means a lot to me. I don't think you realize that this is a step in my career. This is like the next 20, 30 years of my life. And you're the one person when I started that I was so excited to share this with and get your feedback. And you're the hardest one of everyone I put on the list. I need you to come at least once. Do you understand that? You got to have that conversation. Some of you got to have that conversation with your spouse. You've never had that conversation. Where you go, look, I'm trying to do something for us, not to us. So I need your help. And I at least need you to support me and give me 6 months so I can see if I can make something out of this.
Let me add just one thing to that, because, honestly, sometimes if your spouse or family members are not supportive, you honestly sometimes need to earn their support. By getting results, like straight up results, qualify for a trip, qualify for a contest, start making some money, because you need to earn their support, especially with family members. I think when you start a new business, something that's brand new, they're still they're testing it out to see if you're actually going to stick this thing out, or if it's the flavor of the month, right? And from a spouse standpoint, it's like, think about all the sacrifices that a spouse has, someone that's not involved in the business. You're out late at night, right? That's really weird, right? It's Tuesday, Wednesday night, at midnight, and you're at a meeting after the meeting after the meeting.
And you ain't getting paid.
And you're not making money for lighting the lights on it. So sometimes, just know you're probably going to have to earn that support, and they'll come around afterwards.
That's a good point. Spousal support can be bought. I guarantee you, ain't no husband or wife at home, I hate this stupid WFG thing when you're getting paid $50 grand a month. Not a single one. If I'm at home at 6 o'clock in the morning, he's like, dude, what the hell are you doing at home? We ain't having dinner. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Good job. Good, great answers. Yeah.
My question is, you were talking about recruiting. Some people said that recruiting is the answer, but other people said especially whenever you got 170,000, ring earner quitting.
Let's not talk about the question. It has nothing to do with so people go through mental tough decisions. What did I tell you? Right? I told you guys you won't make it here in the long run, even if you make money, if you're not mentally tough. She quit because she couldn't deal with life's hurdles. Okay, so build it big enough. You're gonna have some of those. I can assure you, Swan is at 6-figure earners. Okay? Lonnie Holmes told me once, JR, you're going to have people quit on you. You're going to have people that you write up and they're going to cancel. You're going to have $100,000 earners quit on you if you get big enough there. But enough will stick around for you to become financially independent many times over as long as you keep going. So when he told me that, I thought when it happened, I thought back to Lonnie Holmes' advice. He said that was going to happen on your journey towards getting big, right? So you have to know that that's part of the game long term. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You're going to make $1 million a year one day. You're going to have some people that make money that quit on you. There's nothing you can do about it because that's just part of it. But what can you do to improve on that? Your culture, right? It has to be a culture that's inviting, a culture where there's respect, a culture where people feel like they can win, where there's resources, a culture where people don't feel like they're just a number, that you actually care about open dialogue, open communication, whatever systems you guys use, whether it's WeChat or we have a group WeChat, we get everybody immediately on that day. They're immediately getting positive messages, getting them following the right people on Instagram, getting them following my lab, getting them following these other, social media influencers, Jay, right, whoever's putting out good content. Because that one message could, wow, this is amazing, and I had no idea, right? They go home and they see that stuff. So getting them quickly on the group chats, getting them on social media, getting them, frankly, a result fast. And for me personally, part of my plan is I can do it. I can people say, I want their license quickly, I want them in the field quickly, and I want to get them paid quickly. But you got to meet me halfway. What's meeting me halfway? Get me in front of some people. Or get me on the phone with some people. I'm really, really big on three-way phone calls. In fact, I prefer a three-way call before an in-person meeting. Because let's not waste time, right? A three-way call is an incredible bridge to an amazing meeting.
That's a nugget, guys. Write that down.
Because I know that an associate can get a three-way call in a much easier way than they can with a physical. Would you agree? All things being equal, there's going to be more resistance to a physical. Especially if they got to get in traffic and come to you, they got to drive to they got to drive to the office for a KTV. So then let's just have a three-way call. Let's have a three-way introductory phone call where I can introduce myself to them. You answer their tough questions. Make them know that they're working with a legit individual. And then typically what comes from that call, if it's done right and they have credibility, is a great one. So I'm huge on three-way calls. I'm constantly throughout my day three-way calls with my people. To not create lives unfortunately. The three-way call's not going to work with the person that used to work with 8 years ago that they haven't seen. That's going to be ridiculous, okay? But the three-way call with the 5, 6, 7 key people that love them, that's fun.
So, JR, I'm probably the wrong guy to sit by you because this is the next thought in my head, and I know so many people are thinking, who wants to hear what that three-way call sounds like?
Yes.
So, and I know it is. It's not him giving away anything crazy because it's very basic. But give us a quick example. Let's do it.
Let's say I recruit Steve Hay. Steve says, you know what, you got to talk to my mom because she's highly influential in my life. She makes good money. She's questioning why her business is probably really went down. But the point is, that's a common concern.
Yeah, for sure.
Somebody's mom and dad are concerned about a young person starting this business, or somebody's spouse getting on the phone. entrepreneurship component, right? And so they're like, okay, this makes sense, you know? I'm glad you called. And then I wrap up with this. I said, look, you know, today was great. I'm glad we spoke. I'm really looking forward to working with Steve. I think he has tons of upside here. Obviously, you do as well. As we wrap up, though, I want to mention, you know, we really want to learn more about what Steve's doing and actually get some meat and potatoes as far as how he's doing something. The next step would be, why don't we just meet? Why don't you come down to the office? We'll come to you. We'll share some specific concepts and ideas so that you really understand how Steve is going to be helping his clients out. Would you be open to that meeting in the next week, 2 weeks? 99% of the time, absolutely. Just let me know when. Bam, we have a great story right away. And I don't need the appointment to be, yeah, I'm ready to do business. I just need them to be open to the concepts and ideas, to a conversation. But now that appointment is set up with less skepticism. It's set up in a way where there's trust that's been built, and they feel better about Steve coming to the next BPM because they finally talked to the person he's working with. The person he's working with sounds legit, sounds credible. They're married, they have kids, they've been doing this for a while. That's why we got to get these people on the phone with your trainers, the people that are actually making money at this thing, so that they can help you in those areas. So it's along those lines.
Is that good or what? Give them a hand. How many of you guys that would have helped you this last year? You can think, man, I might not have lost them. I might not have lost them. That's good stuff. Very, very good. Hold on a second. You sit down, Mary Beth. No one wants to hear from you. All right, go.
What does your fast start look like? Is it always in the office? And how much time do you allocate on that fast start?
Okay, so the fast start's going to be very similar to what you guys are doing. What people want to talk about, you know, is the key is fast starter. No, it's ultimately, every fast start has these ingredients. It's getting them more perspective on how to leverage BPM in your business. Right? I'm sure you guys talk about that. How to get people to the office, rebrand yourself, start building a team,
Write that down, guys.
Because they don't know it was a financial.
Rebranding yourself. Write that down in case you didn't catch that.
So the Fast Start, there was a guy, well, I'm not going to say his name, but anyway, he was in another company, and he used a lot of stories and analogies at his Fast Start. They got the new recruit to think differently about the business. So incorporating analogies, stories, that's why restaurant baseball has worked for all these years. Because it gets somebody to think differently about rejection. That's basically the restaurant example, is they're telling them, newsflash, there's going to be rejection. Get used to it. And when you get rejected, call me up. I'll be in the corner. I'm going to pump you up. Baseball is what? We got to run the numbers. It's just about a meeting. Let the chips fall where they may. Some will, some won't. So my next. So you're working on their mindset through stories, through analogies, and that really helps the right language.
Hey, by the way, for those of you that are going, what the heck is restaurant baseball? Because I know there's some of you, it's in the DFS. Like if you're brand new, that you don't know what that is, it's in your book. So get the book from somebody and read it. It's like right in the very beginning. Good question. Hey, Michelle, tell us real quick what I know, because Ronnie, this is one of our most annoying questions people ask us, but I know people are thinking it. So, as much as you don't have roles, what's your day-to-day look like for you? What's the day-to-day look like for you? If someone is in business with their spouse, or they want to go into business with their spouse, and I'm talking to both of you, not to you, because you're both doing this together. Part of what makes couples so well and work so well in business is them knowing how to work with each other and kind of knowing what to do. So if I'm sitting at home, or if I'm sitting in a meeting and I'm going, all right, I'm in, but where do I start? What should I do? What's that look like?
I mean, our day-to-day schedule basically, well, now we have a little one who just started preschool, so it's kind of changed a bit, but we get up, we spend time with the baby, we, get her ready, we drop her off at school, and we go for a quick workout. We work out together. It's efficient, we do it quickly, get in, get out, go home. The good thing about the way we've kind of designed things is within a mile, we live, we work, and we work out, and we have our school, right? So it's all very close, we can bounce around very quickly. So we're in the office by 10, and our assistant will confirm all the appointments the day before, so an ideal day is we get in, and there's people waiting in the lobby for us, and we just go to work, right? An ideal day is back-to-back meetings. Show up at the same time. We like to double, triple book every 30 minutes because a lot of the times either they won't show up or if they don't show up, we're both there. So he might take one, I take one. And that's what we do. On the spare time during the day, we'll make phone calls, obviously do all the other stuff. But we do have an assistant that handles all the outstanding requirements. And I would recommend that if you're in a financial position to get a little bit of help in that area, that's a great place to reinvest because you don't want to be spending valuable time during the day where you could be meeting with people about the business to be following up on policies, right?
To be honest, there's maximum efficiency in this business when your day is meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. You do 7 meetings. You have an entrepreneurial guild. Those meetings were a combination of one-on-ones, fast starts, follow-ups, KTPs, and you were good, right? Because what do we get paid the most to do? Talk to people. So when you're not doing that, you're inefficient. So you need to be changing everything in your life to get to the point where it's meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. And so Eric Olson told me once I was having dinner with him about 7 years ago, we're at PF Chang's, and I go, Eric, we're building this thing. What was your schedule? I same question for the most part. And he goes, here's the bottom line. I recruit by day, I sell by night, I leadership development leader.
Write that down.
Oh man, that sounds like the best schedule. That's what it takes. If you do that and you work that schedule for 2, 3, 4 years, you'll be financially independent. So we'll start doing it. We recruit by day. Most of our day is hiring, recruiting activity. Okay, you'll see ATPs here and there, but most of the day is recruiting activity. The evenings, early evenings, late afternoons, primarily KTP type of meetings. And then got to change the way they think by changing their environment, getting them around this and more outside of just the office.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff, huh?
Amen.
All right. We've got time for like one good question or two short ones. Not that any of them are not good. I'm sorry, Coffee, I can't, Go, Steve. Go ahead, Steve. Pavi? Go ahead, Pavi.
So we all get motivated and fired up after big events. What are some specific things we can implement as leaders with our teams to keep that motivation going over the next few months until we get to our Fast Start Schools and the next Convention of Champions?
So on a month-to-month basis, I think it's really important to always have some kind of campaign going on. We just had a planning meeting with all of our SMDs, trying at least to plan out the first quarter, and it's like really important that there's something going on every month, and there's always a buzz in the office, there's always whether it's a contest, and I'm not talking about like a contest, like an expensive trip to, Chicago or something. I'm talking about like a steak and wings contest, or like a call-out challenge, which costs the leader nothing, right, to throw these kinds of events, but something. So some kind of campaign. We're really big on, during holidays, we like to do social events. They're really hard to do, especially now we have, 150 plus people coming out, but we'll do like a big Christmas potluck. And from what I found is, especially for, the professional meeting attenders that don't do much, they really need that kind of like social bonding. So I think that's how it keeps the office environment up and keeps people motivated.
The truth is, though, too, at the end of the day, the winners are going to win, the losers are going to lose. Nobody has to call me. Guillermo doesn't call, hey, are you going to work this month? Are you going to put up numbers? So you've got to find people that are just going to win because they're winners. They have lives that are strong and they know.
In competition too. Like this past year, we had somebody come into our business. They're going to be the first $100,000 ring earner in a base shop from our hierarchy, and that did a lot. You recruit a rabbit, and that just does so much to spark the activity in an office. I mean, they all want to take this guy out in such a good way. So.
Good stuff. My man back there in the red shirt, I saw you. You had a question.
I'm Ken from Colorado Springs. My question is, you've talked most of the evening about mental toughness. Are there things that you two do in the morning to get yourselves psyched up for the day? And then are there things you guys do in the evening to help you blow off the steam that builds up in the day?
Okay, so people think mental toughness is like, if you read a book, all of a sudden you're mentally tough. It's not like that, right? Mental toughness is a muscle, okay? And so I'm more mentally tough today than I was when I first started because of just working on it. Yes, the books, but more it's the people I was around. It was me going through some challenges, not quitting, overcoming that. It's a process, right? So we don't do an activity to say, let's amp up on mental toughness. It's just, we stuck with this thing. We got around the right people. We started changing our mindset. We started, thinking more positively. Get rid of the negative. Don't let negative self-talk come into your life. And it's a muscle. It's a process, guys. Getting mentally tough. It doesn't happen overnight.
And guys, when you go through crap and then you don't quit, that's exactly how you get tough. I got one last, like this is a reality. I'm never going to get everyone's questions. So we'll do hers and then we'll do Steve. And then you could go in his DM or her DM.
Thank you. So I heard you mention your brand several times, and I was
Hey guys, there's something you need to realize, which is you all already have a brand, but some of you it doesn't serve you. You already have a brand as a quitter, or someone who always gives up, someone who goes from thing to thing. You're lazy, you lie a lot, you're weak. Like, no, I'm being real. You notice when he said earlier, let's start the rebranding process. So you all have a brand, just like someone gets up and says, I'm self-made. We're all self-made, but you won't admit to it unless you like it. So at the end of the day, your brand is already there. So it's changing the brand, which all you're doing is shifting the way people look at you. That's why you have to stick around long enough and not quit. That automatically changes your brand. When I started a business, I had no credibility and no market. But if I call everyone today, I've got tons of credibility and a huge market. But that's 6 years of not quitting. You got to change the way people look at you. That's what branding is. All right, Steve, bring us out with the final question.
Awesome. You guys, let's give them a round of applause. Hanging on and never letting it go. You know, that's what Jamar always says. I picked that up from him. Is hang on and never let go. And so you both are a testament to that, which is awesome. My question is very simple, because we have a lot of people in here, a lot of people that have been around a while, a lot of people that are new. And you've gone through, both of you have gone through a lot over the years and a lot of growth. Coming out of an event like this, we both know a lot of people, they can come out and they can either become that shining star or they take a left turn or a right turn, right? So what would be 2 specific action steps that you would recommend for everybody to take immediate action on coming out of this event so they stay on the right course? And that's, if you both can please answer that.
Well, me personally, it's what I was talking about earlier, and I was just talking to my team about this, so I'll tell you exactly what I told my team. Here's resolutions, everybody's talking about changing their life. At some point, you really have to decide if you're going to change your life. You see, that year, in 2013, when I decided to go 60 wide, that was the decision that changed my life in business. Okay? So, getting that board at Staples or Office Depot, getting that poster board, writing 60 wide in 6 months or 60 wide in 12 months, and putting it in my living room was a decision that I was going to make this happen. But then the other decision was, how am I going to make this happen? Right? Because you can't just want that. You got to really execute. You got to find the prospecting systems that work for you. What's your game plan for going 60 wide? You can't just say, I'm going to go 60 wide. What's the game plan? How are you going to get these prospects? Combination of prospectors who go, tap moving, cold market, social media, and then how are you going to do that? Right? So you got to get laser focused. Okay, if 60 wide is the goal, then how? What's the how? You have to why. Your kids, your family, you want your wife to be proud of you, etc. The what is 60 wide, the how is now the systems that you're going to have to execute on. And that's the problem that most people are going to have in this room. Like, yeah, I want to go 60 wide, but how do I do that? Right? You got to figure that out. Like I figured it out. And for everybody is different. You know, prospecting, do what suits your personality. That'd be my biggest thing on prospecting. Okay? Some people, incredible, go to gas stations and prospect. And do that if that suits your personality. There might be somebody over here that'll never do that. But they can be great prospectors in another way, another system. So you got to find the systems that suit your personality.
And just to add to that, you know, and going back to culture, that really is our culture in our office, where we truly, like JR says, talk about different ways of getting recruits and getting business, because all people's personalities are different. But everybody can win here. I mean, I think this company is evidence enough to know that all personalities can win. And the easy part about what he said, and I completely agree on those 2 points, the easy part is actually learning this thing. So if you're new, you're struggling, like, I don't know the products, plumber, or even like being a dentist, like that's literally backbreaking work. Like this is just sitting in an air conditioning office or a house having a conversation with people. You can learn that very quickly. So if you wanted to leave here and make a decision to get really good at your craft, you got to self-study, right? You got to study the presentations. I would shadow a lot, like hiring interviews, go on more KTPs and record and listen to it, and then, you know, do it in front of your trainer. So we'll do that oftentimes with trainees. We'll make them do a hiring interview on us, or make them do the KTP, and that's going to get better, right? And yeah, ultimately just making a decision. At the end of the day, I mean, we're all put on this earth for such a short amount of time. It's like, what are we going to do with it? You know, at a certain point, you're not that young anymore. At a certain point, you have bills that need to be paid, and a family you want to start, and goals you want to get, and it's, you keep putting it off, and then you're just delaying those goals and those dreams, and it's like, you just got to get started now, right? And the beginning of the year is the best time to do it, to make that decision.
Amen, guys. Well, hey, can we give them a huge round of applause? Hey, was that awesome or what? I mean, if that, I told you this afternoon we were going to try to make this thing worth every dollar for you. Was that true or not?
Yes.
I'm so thankful for them and their commitment to helping people win, guys. And as I tell you that because as you grow in the company, you have to qualify for events so you can build relationships like that. Because what we just did is all, you get it, Hawaii. That's the whole Hawaii trip. But we're doing it by the fireplace. We're doing it by the fire pit. We're doing it over dinner. We're having a blast. And as you win, the winning is so much better than you would ever imagine it to be. And, you know, as we end tonight, I want to do something, and I asked them to stay up here because they're such good friends of ours. Ronnie and I are going to hand out our very first rings to our very first ring riders. JR and Michelle have several ring earners, and it's the coolest experience. But I want to do it in front of you guys because I want you to see it. Because I was in the room when Jamie gave Cash Raston his $1 million ring. And we were at Elite Circle. We got to be a fly on the wall, and we were running that with Cash. And it was one of the most powerful things to see because it stretched us so much, just to see it. And you know, this couple who we're going to give the ring to did not come from a polished, you know, background in any way. Sergio was my car detailer, and he came to the office, and he when we first opened, he came in and he prospected us, and he said, "Hey, you know, I do detailing. If you guys ever need your cars detailed, you know, I do the attorneys and stuff next door. I'd love to have an opportunity." And that's how our relationship started. And a year and a half later, finally he goes, "Man, what the heck do you guys do here?" And I said, "Well, come inside." And an hour later, he was a client. And then he joined the team. And then he didn't come to the freaking training. And I never trained him. I didn't even book a fast start. I was like, "Yeah, man, cool." And let it go. And then he just started showing up randomly. And one day he goes, I was going to go to Palm Springs to field train a friend of mine who became my direct, who's now in jail. But, literally, I realized very quickly, I'm like, man, I'm going to drive all the way to Palm Springs, and this dude is totally out of the market. But, you know, when you're broke, you ain't got a choice. This was 5 years ago. And so, as I was going to go start doing this stuff, Sergio one day, he goes, "Hey, bro," actually it wasn't 5 years ago, it was like 2 years ago. He goes, "Hey, man, if you need someone to drive you, I'll drive you." And I was like, "Oh, dude, I'm all about that. Yeah, let's do it." So not only did he drive me, he drove me in his car, he drove me on his gas, and he went with me. And I realized in 2 days, 2 times of doing this, I said, "I'm not field training this bonehead out here in Palm Springs. I'm really field training Sergio. But I'm field training Sergio on this guy's market." And Sergio, for 2 hours we drive there, and 2 hours we drive back, and he picked my brain the whole time. And I remember one day when I was standing in the office, and I'm going to tell you this because I want you to have this experience. I remember one day when I was standing in the office and he was in there and he was starting to get it going and he decided he was going to get rid of his detailing business. And then Mary Beth, I had just met her and she was going to come into business with him part-time. And I remember how he just kept showing up. And finally I told Ronnie, because he was so hungry, he was blowing us up, and I told Ronnie, I said, man, I think we have someone, we finally found someone who wants to win just as bad as we do. And he's just as obsessed as we are. And I tell you this because that's what you need to find this year. You need someone who's going to ride or die with you to the end of the world. Now, we've got a lot of them, but he's got something that a lot of them don't have yet. Strong enough, which is a freaking obsession. Mary Beth has this obsession. She's more competitive than he is. She has this obsession to win. And there's a power in obsession when it's on the right things. And they hit their ring. They took SMD. They qualified a year before they took their promotion. They took their promotion. And I believe if you do it right, you take your promotion and you get your ring within 60 days. And that's exactly what they did. They're both full-time. Mary Beth left her job less than a year ago, and it was a game changer for them. Recently engaged. They said they wouldn't plan a single speck of their wedding until they got their ring. So now we're going to make it to $250,000. But at the end of the day, for the very first time in the history of since we've started the business, can you please help us give a big, huge hand to Sergio and Mary Beth? It's the start, but it's so cool. I'm telling you guys, the day you find someone who wants it just as bad as you, like some of you are asking mental toughness, all the crap you go through is worth it the day you find someone who wants it just as bad. True or false? And then it's, how many can you find? How many can you find after that? They got several ringers. They got $250,000 ringers. How many can you find once you find one? That's why tenacity, we call it 1 in 100. It's because that's what you're looking for. You're looking for 1 in 100 people, and some of them you'll find them, and some of them you'll build them. And some of them you find them and build them. But at the end of the day, it's how many can you find them? And we're so proud of them. And they've been through some crap. Let me tell you. I remember one time Dan calls me and he says, 3-way Sergio. And I was like, oh no. What Sergio, what does he do? And Sergio gets on the phone and Dan goes, I wish Dan was here to say this. He goes, Sergio, are you stupid? The first 3 words out of his mouth. I mean, he's been through some crap. This the thing is, but you grow through crap. You don't go through crap. You grow through it. It's a mental toughness, and they are as freaking tough as it comes. But man, I tell you, it's not an easy journey. But they've only been in the business 2 years, something like that. But it is so worth it. And I promise you guys, you stick like he said, and she said, you stick. You will get there. It's not if, it's when. All right, guys, we will see you tomorrow morning for Generation